Hey Summit family, this is Dr. Ryan. So I got a couple of things for you to think about today. Number one, 30% of all babies are born with subluxation. Remember, subluxation is anytime your spine shifts out of alignment and compromises the neurology or the nerves in that area. Studies show that 30% of all of our kids, all of us, are born with subluxation. And it's because when a baby passes through the birth canal or even during something like C-section, the spine has to torque and twist and turn and contort just to be able to get out, and I realize that that's a normal physiological process. But especially if something like forceps are used or suction or in a C-section, the incision is very small so that they can minimize the scars and the scar tissue on the mom. And so there's some level of contortion that happens with the baby. And so I'm not picking on this process. I'm just saying that a lot of our kids are born with subluxation, and as you hopefully know by now, that subluxations, don't just result in back pain or neck pain or headaches later on in life, but they actually contribute to loss of function. And in kids, one of the most prevalent things that's caused from subluxation is asthma and allergies. So both asthma and allergies, studies show that millions of kids, in fact, just asthma alone, 34 million kids are affected by asthma every year in America, to the extent that they have to use a steroid inhaler just to get them to breathe normally. And nobody's asking the question, what's interfering with the kid's ability to breathe in the first place? Instead you take them to a pediatrician and you walk out with a steroid. And when it comes to allergies, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, my kid's allergic to nuts, or my kid's allergic to eggs, or my kid's allergic to XYZ, and so they have to take this certain drug, or they just can't eat that stuff. And nobody's asking the question, why are these kids allergic to this stuff in the first place? And it's not because God messed up. It's not because they have bad DNA or bad genetics. It's because there's something interfering with their body's ability to function and act normally, And so if your child has any level of symptoms or, chronic disease process, whether it's asthma, allergies, chronic ear infections, they're sick all the time, they're hyperactive, they have ADHD, whatever it is, digestive issues, diarrhea, constipation, irritable bowel, all of these things are signs of potential subluxation. And here's the thing, I'm not saying that every kid on the planet that has these issues is being caused from subluxations in the spine. What I am saying is that it makes sense to check the spine, because the spine protects and houses the nerve system, which controls everything in the body. Let's check that first and just cross that off the list. Then we can move on to step two, layer number two, whether it be changing nutrition, adding or subtracting supplements, detoxification, getting kids to move more and to have more exercise. But my opinion is that just giving a kid a drug or a procedure and then going on your merry way is never going to actually solve the cause of the problem. So, March and April are Healthy Families Month. And so we're doing, all month long in March and in April, we're seeing tons and tons of kids. In fact, we've seen just an explosion of babies and young kids being seen in our office. And it's not really because we're doing any kind of fancy marketing. It's just because we're focused on it. And we're also doing a workshop called Healthy Families, Raising the Next Generation, on April 3rd at 6 o'clock at Heart of the City Church. I know that many of you have already been to our events in the past, but this one's going to be kicking. It's going to be awesome. My wife and I, Dr. Erin, we're going to go through, how to get your kids to actually eat correctly, how to get your kids to take certain supplements, or how to get your kids to not eat garbage, and to do it on their own, not just because you're forcing them to, or threatening a spanking or a timeout or taking away their video game. We're going to teach you how to get your kids involved and empower them so that they actually start wanting to make the right decisions. We're also going to talk about chiropractic and how beneficial chiropractic is for kids and how safe chiropractic is for kids. Parents always ask me, why do you adjust so many kids? It seems like kids don't really need to be adjusted, or why do kids get adjusted so much? Well, it's kind of like this. You take your kids to a dentist as soon as they have teeth because you want to maintain healthy teeth. And it's a lot easier to maintain healthy teeth on the front end than it is to wait until your kids' teeth are all black and then take them into a dentist, and then they've got to have all this dental work and fill cavities and root canals and all this other stuff, and it's crazy expensive, and nobody wants to go through that anyway. So with your spine, it's the same thing. You know, you're born with a spine, you should take care of it your whole life because you only get one. So the point is, number one, if you haven't had your kid checked for subluxation, just let us know. We'll make it really, really easy. We do a friends and family discount. It'll cost you $40 to do all the x-rays, all the exam, testing, evaluation, consultation, all of it's only $40. And we'll just let you know if there's a problem, then we'll give you recommendations. You can do whatever you want. If there's not, then you can rest easy knowing that you're doing everything you can to keep your kids healthy. So that's number one. Bring your kids in, let us check them, and then let's just start them off on the right path as far as their spine and nervous system. Number two is if you're not currently scheduled for or registered for the Healthy Families Workshop, you got to come. I mean, if you have kids, if you have grandkids, if you want kids in the future, and even if you just know kids, so that's everybody, right? I mean, we should all be there because kids are the next generation. I know that sounds cliche, but it sticks around because it's true, you know? And we want our next generation to be growing up healthy, not because we're forcing them to, but because they want to, right? And I truly believe that if you come to the workshop, you're gonna learn lots of amazing stuff that's gonna help change the trajectory of the health of you and your family, and especially your kids. So we don't charge anything for the tickets. They're absolutely free, but we do gotta have you registered ahead of time because the space that we have is limited in seating. So again, it's April 3rd, 6 o'clock, Heart of the City Church. The event's about an hour and a half. Hope to see you there.